Hello? Hello? I think now I think now my audio may be working. So apparently I've just been chatting for 6 minutes. Six minutes without anyone listening. Absolutely fantastic. Thanks all for holding on. I do appreciate it. I just made the best 6 minutes of FPL content you will ever hear in your life. And now I'm gonna have to try and repeat it. It was absolutely sensational stuff. It was probably the most insightful FPL content I've ever given. And now I'm gonna have to go back. I do apologize, everyone. One of my wires came loose by the look of it, and there we go. Let's start again. Let's start again. Good morning. Welcome to Fergi time, everyone. Apologies, all one absolute plonker. Anyway, okay, let's start again. Ross Johnson, Son captain. Let's do this. So just in terms of Son, I think that it would be brave. I wouldn't go against Salah. I'm just going to have to now just wrap all this up in like seconds, aren't I? Rather than actually having to go through a detailed answers again. I wouldn't captain Son. They did look better against Brentford. They have got Norwich as a good fixture. Salah just looks incredible. Liverpool incredible. I captain Salah. Duncan, about Foden, etc. So for those who haven't seen it in the embargoed comments, looks like Foden may or may not play. We're not 100% sure from Pep's comments. I'm going to stick with him because it's the kind of move that if you take out Foden for Bernardo, just as an example, it could massively backfire. And how I would feel afterwards, so I'd be incredibly annoyed if I took out Foden and Foden scored. Whereas if I held on to Foden and Bernardo scored, I wouldn't feel that badly. So I'm holding on to Foden. Man City's fixtures are absolutely incredible. After this week, they go their next 5, so 3 of the next 4 at home against Wolves, Leeds and Leicester, and in between then they've got Newcastle and Brentford. Jordan Cole says, anyone else finding transfers for this week a lot harder than usual? Absolutely. So I did say I'll try and wrap it up a bit quick, but I did say there seems to be a transition in fixtures at the moment between us holding lots of Chelsea, maybe Wolves, maybe Brentford, maybe Spurs plays, for example. But teams such as West Ham, Man United and Watford are coming on the radar. So I've made a hygiene transfer, which I will show now in a couple of minutes. On my team, a bit of a boring move. I'm trying to set myself up to be able to attack the transfers in a few minutes. I think that's far as I got, actually, so just proves I talk too much. Good morning, Michael Bransky, Johnny A, Jan, FPL Sponge, and everyone else. Thank you so much, everyone, for holding on. I do apologize for all that. Good morning, Nathi Cal from South Africa. Isaac Jr. Should I get Ronaldo and Bowen next game week? That's one of my plans there, Isaac, is to potentially move on to Ronaldo next week against Norwich. Depends how Spurs at this weekend, but I think I'm going to get rid of Son next week, potentially. Son to maybe someone like Smith Rowe, or something along those lines, and look to get Ronaldo away to Norwich. But I think it does depend how Spurs look against Norwich, because that will give clues both on Spurs and obviously both on Norwich defensively as well. I noticed that Ronaldo potentially got a tight hamstring, so it's just one to monitor, though they do play Champions League against Young Boys this week as well, but it is one to look for. Apologies, Adam25. All that gold we missed made my morning, though. Absolutely apologies. What an absolute wally! I wasn't actually on mute. I was. My wire had slipped out the back of my microphone. Where I probably pulled my microphone towards me, the wire had slipped out the back. What an absolute wally! Okay, Stephen Moore says it's nearly Christmas, so time for Jesus. It's hard to argue with that, really. Jesus is one I have been looking at because he obviously plays on the right, and Mahrez will very likely be off to the African nations at the end. So I'm not sure it's time for him yet, but I'm very interested in Jesus. Over the next few weeks, he could be someone I bring in. As potentially a bit of a differential as well, but also he's very, very involved in all the attacks, whether he plays on that right hand side or plays up front as the 9. League Saints, morning Fergie, love your streams when we can hear you. I would appreciate your thoughts on Livermental to Ben Johnson. Yeah, so I had the same thought this week, League Saint, but the reason I didn't do that this week, I will very likely do that next week potentially as part of a -4 to release funds. Is because I want to play Livermental this week. So I think a home to Brighton is quite a good fixture, actually. So he is in my starting 11. But after that, I'm going to get rid. So I made another sort of hygiene transfer, which I'll share in a minute. But I do think that is a good move. And yeah, I think that it's a move I'll be doing either next week or the week after. So it releases 0.3 for me. So I think I'll be doing that for sure. Nick Pasquet, Fergie just released the key to win FPL and we all missed it. 100%, Nick. It was the most insightful, bit of FPL content you will ever manage. But glad it made a few people laugh. Anyway, Switchbone says you were passionate about what you were talking about. I tell you, I'm always passionate. I love fantasy football. Right, it is my passion in life. Sad as it is, fantasy football is my passion in life. Rohit says this is going to be the best game week thanks to Fergie. Absolutely. TMZ, great fixtures coming up for City: Son and King, or Gundo and Jesus. It's a tough one that is. I would probably go for B out of those two. But I think that Son looks okay, and Spurs look okay, but their fixtures are not fantastic the current weeks. They they'll be finishing their run. Their fixtures are okay, but they are quite mixed. Away to Brighton is going to be a hard game. I don't see Son getting much that week, and then they got Leicester away, and then they're home to Liverpool. After that, they do have Palace, Southampton, Watford, which is decent. But after that, then they go to Arsenal and Chelsea, and they have Man City soon after that as well. So I think it's a lot of money, especially when there's so many value players elsewhere. Which is why I'm personally planning on getting rid of Son after this week. At the moment, unless he goes and scores a couple of goals against Norwich, and they look like they've suddenly turned a massive corner. But even against Brentford, they looked okay. He got the goal, but I think they're potentially better options, like Ronaldo, for example, right? So it's going to be really, really hard if you want Ronaldo for United's run, which is absolutely fantastic, right? So they go Norwich, Brentford, Brighton at home, then they go Newcastle, Burnley, Wolves. It's a really good run of fixtures. He's on pens as well by the look of it. Ronaldo as well plays more forward than Son, and you could imagine a new manager bounce under this sort of manager would be a significant bounce. So it's going to be difficult to hold on to Son if you want Salah and Ronaldo as well. I did see this morning, just to in case anyone hasn't seen it, again in the embargo comments, this time from Jurgen Klopp, that he said he's pretty hopeful that Salah and Mane and Keita won't be able to go to AFCON until after game week 21, which would be something like the 3rd of January. I'd be amazed in all honesty, because it means the tournament only starts a few days later, but you never know. But if that is the case, then it means that Liverpool may only miss like 2 or 3 fixtures. Salah and Mane, etc., may only miss 2 or 3 fixtures, which is obviously massively different from missing something like 5. So just something to think on there. Somnath681, can you tell me if I should transfer in Reguilon? So kind of similar with Saints, Somnath. I personally wouldn't. I think the time has come and gone for buying Spurs. I think I would have bought them 2 or 3 weeks ago. He could do okay, right? But City's fixtures look incredible. Chelsea's fixtures in a couple of weeks go back to being really nice. So after this week, which they got a difficult fixture away to West Ham, Chelsea's fixtures, they read home to Leeds, home to Everton, 2 back-to-back fantastic fixtures, away to Wolves, away to Villa, home to Brighton. So their fixtures go nice. So I would personally not go Reguilon. I think I'm not a massive fan of 5 at the back. So I personally wouldn't. But if you do it, very, very best of luck to you. Good morning, FPL Sparta. And Rohit asks, pick 2 of Antonio, Rudiger and Alonso to play this week. So I've benched Antonio, and basically I'm playing Rudiger and James. Rohit. Actually, I'll show my team now. So I would personally bench Antonio personally, but who knows what's going to happen in that game, right? West Ham have been quite funny in terms of they've been quite up and down with their goal scoring. Did they score like 3 or 4 against Liverpool, but then they struggled to score in other games? So I personally picked Rudiger and Alonso, but I've got Antonio first on my bench, just in case. Ryan says Rudiger to Reguilon to free up cash. I personally wouldn't, Ryan. I mean, also, if you look, just look at the next 5 or 6 fixtures after this game week, and you'll be bringing in Reguilon home to Norwich. It's obviously it's a really good fixture this week. I agree, for a 1 week punt, it looks good, but look at the next 5 or 6 after this week, and Rudiger has far more chance of better points over the next, over the Christmas period than Reguilon does, in my opinion, just down to fixtures. Cookie with a cat, captaincy. Where have you gone? Cookie with a cat. Captaincy is so frustrating. It feels clearly Son, but not Captain Salah, is asking for trouble, and that you couldn't have put it any better. Cookie with a cat. Not Captain Salah is asking for trouble. Like I say, like every week I say it, right? But if you captain Salah, you have the chance of very likely a lowish red, but the opportunity for a biggish green. If you go against Salah, you open up your variance of your green to be massive, but you also want the variance of your red to be massive as well. So it's completely up to you. All I would say is just ask people who went against Salah in game week 9 if they wished, if they wished they had done it, and that is clearly not, it's not having some kind of dig at aim in particular, but I know how it feels. I've done it myself plenty of times, and it hurts because to get back to, something like that. So I'm 200k at the moment, but if I did that and Salah banged and Son didn't, I'd find myself probably at 400 or 500k, and it may take me 4 game weeks or 5 game weeks to get back to where I was. If I just played it on Salah, just playing it safe and hope the rest of your team can actually move yourself forward, and get the points you need. But that's just personal thing. Just a bit of team news on Chelsea. Reece James is fit and available, which is good, even though I did see he's been transferred out by something like 180,000 managers this week, which I can't understand. Also for Leeds, very interestingly, both Bamford and Ayling are both fit and both may feature this weekend. KS says Reguilon is gold, mark my word. I'm sure he is, but I personally wouldn't be bringing him in ahead of any of the Man City or Chelsea assets personally over the next month. Vishal, thanks for all the help and advice. It's a stream I always look forward to. Great stuff, Vishal. Should I bench Gallagher, Antonio, Dennis, or Livramento? Out of those 4, I would be tempted probably to go with, I would probably bench Gallagher out of those 4 personally. I think Antonio could, Antonio's first on my bench. Dennis can score against anyone in the form he's in, even though they do face Chelsea. Livramento home to Brighton, I think, is quite a decent fixture for Livramento personally. So I'm playing him. With that, let's have a look actually at my team for this game week. So my overall rank at the moment, 214k. A disappointing red last week. Foden again, just and Bomo and all this junk in my team, just not doing anything. It's been incredibly frustrating. But this is what I'm doing this week. So I'm playing 5 at the back. I've got Sanchez in goals. Then I'm playing Trent, James, Cancelo, Rudiger, and Livramento. So I'm playing Livramento above Antonio, as you can see. I'm going for Jota. I've got Foden. I mean, if Foden plays, great. If he doesn't play, I've got Antonio first on my bench. It's not the end of the world. Son as vice. Salah captain. Antonio up front on his own. And the transfer I've made this week. So I've got 2 free transfers. Or I had 2. And I've done Mbomo to Gilmore, which may seem like the most boring transfer in the world, especially when Mbomo now goes to Leeds and Watford. 2 good fixtures, but my thinking is I've played Mbomo, I think, the last 4 game weeks, and not only has he not scored any points, he hasn't looked particularly dangerous, and he's getting on my nerves, in all honesty. And the benching, I've benched Cancelo in the last few weeks for Mbomo. When he scored a 14 points, I've also benched Rudiger as well for 14 points. These are decisions which cost you hundreds of thousands of places of rank, right? So even if I've got those points, I would be in the top 100k now. So what I'm trying to do, and I know that I know not everyone agrees with this, but I'm trying to give myself as least decisions. The minimal amount of decisions I possibly can every game week, which is why I go and bummo to Gilmore. So it releases, I think, 1.1 million. And it just means next week I can have 2 free transfers. And my current thinking, which it is very. I haven't even worked out the maths really. What I could do, I think I can do Son to Smith Rowe. Arsenal's fixtures look really good for the next 6. I've been so I was so gutted last week with Smith Rowe and Rafinha's points. I thought they were both incredibly jammy. But Arsenal's fixtures after this week, they go they go home to Southampton, home to West Ham, Leeds, Norwich, Wolves, which are a really nice run of games. And he's hurting me every week. Smith Rowe is. So I'm thinking of going Son to Smith Rowe. I believe then I can, if I did Livramento to Johnson, as I mentioned earlier, I may or may have not been on mute at that point. I believe I can then go Tony to Ronaldo, I believe, for a -4. But that puts my team like really nicely set for the coming weeks. And then what I can potentially do a week or so after that is maybe do something like Foden down to someone, maybe Bernardo, maybe someone else, maybe Bowen, for example, and potentially Davis up to a Watford striker, or I could even do Antony down to a Watford striker. So I've held on to Antonio for this long that I do want to actually see how he performs against a couple of the lesser teams. So they play Burnley, and then they've got Arsenal. After that, they do have a really good run. So I've got a decision to kind of make there. I could do Antonio then the week after to King or Dennis, depending on AFCON news, for free the week after. That's my very, very rough plan at the moment. But leaving leaving as many spots as I can dead. Gilmore's a nice one to have, I think, because I'm never going to start him ever. But he could always come off the bench with a couple of points. So that's just explaining my moves and my team there. Let me know what you think. Tom Zaraski, morning Tom. Had a great start to the season, 25k so far. Let's hope to keep it absolutely fantastic stuff. Tom, many congratulations. I remember you were on all the pre-season streams, which you did every day, which were really good fun. Easy asks, who do I start, King or Gallagher? Out of the two, Easy, I've got to be honest, I think I would start King, even though they face the Chelsea defence. They're just on form. They look really good. Gallagher didn't look too great last week, I didn't think, when they played, was it Leeds? And they, away to Man United, a resurgent Man United. I think I would play King personally, Easy, but, it's clearly up to you. Very best of luck. And Chris AD, bench one, White, Dennis, or Gallagher. Again, probably, I think out of those, I'd be tempted to bench White, just because White hasn't got much upside, right? So his ceiling is basically capped at 6 points, whereas Dennis or Gallagher, if they score a goal, their ceiling goes up a lot higher. White away to Everton. I thought Everton looked okay last week, actually. If it wasn't Rondon on getting those chances against Liverpool, they may have scored a couple of goals. So I think I'd be tempted to go for the attackers, which I generally kind of do anyway. Sai, who is the better pick, Gundogan or Silva? I think I'll go Silva, haven't you, at the moment? He just looks... I think Gundogan has probably got a little bit more goal threat, though. I did see an interview this week with Foden, and Foden himself said, he was asked a question, who is going to score the goals in the, for Man City for my FPL team, sort of thing, and he said Bernardo Silva. So going on that, I think so. I do like Gundogan. I wish I had Gundogan or Silva ahead of Foden, but I'm not willing to take him out in case he starts and explodes. But we can maybe see this week. Ross asks, if Son bangs this weekend, would you keep him? I think it's Son to Sancho. That's not a bad move either. I think I think we take it kind of week by week. We can see now. United have got Palace. Without Anderson, haven't been as good at the back. I think we get to get another week's worth of information. Just for example, Sancho is benched this weekend. it may tell a story, because we know that Greenwood should be back soon as well. Ronaldo may even be benched. There's just rumours about a tight hamstring. So I just think we take each game week as it comes, gather information, leave our teams very flexible, and then strike when we think the time is right. Kinghold Hart says Bowen to Cornet. I think Cornet has got some chance, actually. They've got some really good fixtures coming up. Burnley starting this week, actually. Newcastle, West Ham, Watford, Villa, Everton. That's a really good run of attacking fixtures. I'd be tempted to hold on to Bowen for a few weeks till their fixtures turn, personally. So I think I'd hold on to Bowen, Kinghold Hart, for the longer term, because he's looked probably the best West Ham attacker this season, I would say. I'm thinking of bringing him in a couple of weeks, in all honesty, for when their fixtures start. But good luck, whatever you do. Animal Lover, start one. Bowen, Gallagher, Dennis or Duffy. Start one out of those lot. Wow. I think I'd probably go for Dennis, the form he's in all honesty, Animal Lover. Duffy seems to... Mind you, Duffy will likely be back in the team this week, because Webster went off injured. We know he's not available. I'd probably go for Dennis. Just the form he's in. They look awesome. Like, they look at the moment like they could score 2 or 3 goals in every game, regardless of who they're playing. Bowen has Chelsea, Gallagher has Man United, Duffy away to Southampton. Tough one. I go for Dennis, Animal Lover, but it's completely up to you. It's 50-50 all the way there. Gavinho, please don't wind me up, Gavinho. And Bummo Hall has to come, surely. I know I've taken him out ahead of Leeds and bloody Leeds and Watford, 2 of the worst defences so far this season, but I'm just sick to death of him. And what he's doing, he's actually having an adverse effect on my team, because I keep starting him and then benching other players. So I've benched so many points, trusting on Bummo, and I'm just not willing to do it anymore. So again, I'm quite comfortable in my own mind that if Bummo scores a goal or two, one because of his ownership is really low, it's something like 3%, so I'm not really that bothered. But 2, it just makes my decisions so much easier every week. So at the moment, I'm fretting every week, on who to bench, who to start, and all this kind of stuff, bench order. Whereas now it hopefully just makes it much, much easier every week. And that's all I want, an easy life, really, in all honesty. Sai, when you planning on wildcarding? So who's my first wildcard in game week 9, Sai? In terms of my second one, probably, I gotta be honest, I haven't got a clue at the moment. Obviously we know that the Chelsea, due to the World Club Cup, are going to miss, I want to say, game weeks 24 and 25. Yes, it is. So at the moment, Chelsea going to miss game weeks 24 and 25. What I would also say, just on the Chelsea fixtures as well, if you look at the 3 fixtures before that, they have Liverpool, City and Spurs. So it's not an easy game at all. And also, what is it? It's something like their game against Leicester and game week 27 may also be called off because of the Carabao Cup final. So Chelsea, in that period of 8 fixtures, or 7 fixtures, they go Liverpool, Man City, Tottenham, then they blank, then they're away to Palace, and then they could miss the game against Leicester. So that is the time for me, just looking at Chelsea as a whole, which you want to hop off massively. And this is part of the reason why I'm not going for Alonso as well, is because I don't want to hop off. I don't want to have to hop off 3 Chelsea defenders, which will be quite hard to do. So that's the reason I'm only sticking with 2. So they have 5 or 6 really good games up until that point, but after that it turns really, really tough. So just bear that in mind when you're thinking about, Chelsea players. In terms of wild carding, what potentially then, it looks like, I think according to Ben Crellin, it looks like we're going to have a blank game week. I think a game week 30 at the moment. But yeah, that run of Chelsea. So between game weeks 21 and 28, it looks like avoid Chelsea for numerous reasons: fixtures, World Club Cup, and potential another rearrangement. But obviously we know what that means, and this is where it gets brilliant. It means that Chelsea will have to potentially rearrange 2 or 3 fixtures for after that, which is then when you treble back on, right? So that could be the time to wild card, for example. If you haven't got 8, if you want to go from none to 3 in the match of a week or 2, that could be the chance to wild card, just as an example. So just those things to think about. But it is quite a lot in the future. I'd probably just focus, on the next 5 or 6 weeks for now, because we know how much things can change. Prabesh, James says, hello, you mug. That is what he told us to do in the stream. James, what's going on? Thank you, James. Hello, you mug. No, I sometimes give away mugs, but hello, you mug. I'm probably not gonna make me do that. Be interested to see which James you're talking about there. But yeah, let me know on that one, Prabesh. Ajay, thoughts on Harry Kane? He's just not worth it, right? He's not worth it. Fixtures turn after this week, so obviously play him this week if you hold him. But after that, I would just get rid. And at the moment, I am thinking that Ronaldo is potentially good. But again, let's take it week by week, right? Because it may be that we end up with a front line or something like, Antonio, Dennis and King or Dennis and a 4.4 striker or something else. Bamford may be back soon. There's lots and lots of options. So I just think every week, get yourself into a position where you can be flexible for the week after, because there was 15 injuries midweek. It just happens all the time. So there's no point kind of pigeonhole yourselves into these moves at the moment, because you just never know what's around the corner. Just to touch quickly on top transfers in and out. I can't believe when the transfers out. The transfers in, Dennis has been brought in by 526,000 teams. He's absolutely on fire. His ownership must have absolutely rocketed. He's been in sensational form. So just on AFCON, so he is eligible for Nigeria, but they are going to play like six game weeks before that, right? So I wouldn't let that put you off in the short term. But he hasn't played for Nigeria for apparently like over a year or something, because he had to fall out with the coach. It's just one to monitor there with Dennis, just as if you're thinking of him as a long-term move, he could be off potentially. This is why I'm kind of erring towards King as a long-term move, but no doubt I'll miss all the short-term points for Dennis. Jota has been brought in by 343,000. He's just been sensational. Looks incredibly dangerous. One of the must-have players at the moment, in my opinion. Bernardo also brought in by nearly 300,000 teams. Reguilon, so we discussed him earlier. I think it'd be good this week. I've got no doubt he'll be good this week. But I do think after that, maybe not personally. 250,000 teams, and Smith Rowe, 100,000. He just keeps finding ways to bloody score, doesn't he? And return. Brought in by 160,000. Top transfers out. Antonio taken out of 326,000 teams. Ahead of a good run of fixtures. I think I probably have held him way too long, but after these next two, after this week they're away to Burnley, which is probably a good fixture. Then they're away to Arsenal. Then they embark on a frightening run of fixtures all the way through from game week 18 through to game week 27. They have an incredible run of fixtures in that period, including 6 home games in 10. So that's why I'm holding on to Antonio, trying to think more long term. And then just a bit further down, Jimenez taking out 220,000 teams. Yet Wolves' nice run has ended, and now they have some stinking fixtures. Their next 4: Liverpool, City, Brighton, and Chelsea. Gallagher taking out 215,000 teams. I'm quite surprised at that. I think Gallagher is a pretty obvious hold. I still think he can offer really, really good value. Their fixtures are okay. They're quite mixed, but I think actually they're quite decent. After this week, Palace, so they're home, away to United this week, fair enough, which is quite difficult. After that, their next 3: home to Everton, home to Southampton, away to Watford, and then they've got Spurs, who've hardly looked good, and then they're home to Norwich. So I don't really understand that. I was thinking of bringing in Gallagher, so but each to their own. Ben Rama, those still holding on to Ben Rama, 196,000 transfers out. But this one surprised more than anything. Reece James has been transferred out of 188,000 teams. I mean, what's going on there, right? Their fixtures after this week look awesome. So I don't know what's going on there. I think it smacks of what happened with Trent after game week 8, when he missed one game or whatever it was. He came back and just picked up where he left off, which is what I'm sure Reece James will do as well. So it's a strange one, but again, each to their own. Ramaldinho says, what's the deal with Gilmore? So he's just the cheapest midfielder in the game, Ramaldinho. He started the last 3 games for Dean Smith. He's taken up quite advanced positions, apparently, speaking to Norwich fans. So he's just there as a bench warmer more than anything to enable me to get my cash on the pitch. That's what I'm doing with him. Swastik asks, bench Dennis or Tony? Oh, such a tough one. Like, Tony has scored 2 in his last 3. He does play Leeds. Dennis, obviously been on fire, but they do have Chelsea? No, City. Apologies. And City defensively are pretty incredible. So I benched Dennis, which sounds bonkers with the form he's in. Mohamed Al-Mandari, Kane to Dennis next game week, and a Livramento to James. Those sound like 2 incredibly sensible moves. Mohamed, I think I would definitely endorse those. Alex, swap Rudiger for Reguilon so I can bring in Jota. I don't get the love on Reguilon personally. This week I think you do well, right? I wouldn't be surprised this week if you got like a 12-pointer. But after that, look at their fixtures. Spurs, right? They're not great in defence. So after this week, they go away to Brighton, away to Leicester, and they have Liverpool. I mean, what are you hoping from those 3? And in that time, Chelsea go West Ham, Leeds, and Everton, and then they go Wolves, Villa, and Brighton. So I'm not convinced personally on Reguilon, but I'm sure he will do well this week. And Sangani, Lolly was talking about Planet FPL. But he didn't call you a mug. Just heard about your muted woes and said to say hi. Brilliant. Thank you so much, James. Yeah, absolutely. I can't believe. For those who missed it, apparently I did the first 6 minutes of the stream this morning all on mute. Well, I wasn't on mute actually. As I pulled my microphone forward to me, my wire gently slipped out of the back or came loose at the back. So for the first 6 minutes, I gave the most incredible FPL insight you can ever imagine, but it was all wasted. So none of you are going to win FPL now because I gave all the secrets away to just my kids downstairs, by the sound of it, who were listening in. Let me know if you have any more questions. Just to run through a couple. I've got a list of players were ruled out. Firmino is still out, obviously. So Jota continues to look really, really good. Romero for Spurs been ruled out for I think well into the new year now. Varane's out for United. Armstrong out for Southampton. Shalabar out. Clark for Newcastle. Norman, which is disappointing for Norwich. I thought he looked decent. Foster on my bench. He's been ruled out until the new year as well. And Sarr has been ruled out till January as well for Watford. Ings, Wan-Bissaka, Creswell and Target could play this week. And in terms of those who are fit, Reece James, Tino Werner, Gundogan, Walker, Bamford, Ayling, Laporte is back for Man City, which I think is quite important for them. Lascelles for Newcastle, Tarkowski and Stones. So, goodness knows who's going to play out of Stones and Laporte, but you'd assume Diaz would play there. Charlie McLeod, Vardy and Mbomo to King and Son. Yeah, I probably wouldn't be bringing in Spurs players at this moment. They have got the one good fixture, but after that it looks rough. I probably, I do like the King move, but I'd potentially, maybe look at a Man City midfielder. Personally, maybe Smith Rowe if you haven't got him. FPL Hogmeister. I just wonder what your plans are for Son after this game week. It's very likely I'm going to move him on. I think Hogmeister, like I say, I don't really like their fixtures, and I need a route to Ronaldo. So at the moment, Son is very likely the cash cow to Ronaldo. I'm not sure exactly if I'll do it definitely next week, for example, but I think I might. Well, he's obviously the cash cow, so something like Son to Smith Rowe, and Tony to Ronaldo is something I'm looking at potentially. Even though I'm taking out, I'll have taken out Tony and Mbomo against the game against Watford, and that's going to be a really, really high scoring game. Gavinho, will Kane finally return this game week? Oh, what a tough question, Gavinho. I mean, you think he has to, right? You think that? I think in my predictions I did Spurs to win something like 3-1. You'd think if they did, he'd be involved. He was involved last week. He was involved obviously in Son's goal in terms of assisting the assister. Thought he looked okay. Had a shot on target, but again, only I think he had the one shot on target. He's not getting like lots of shots off, and the pass he played for the goal, if you saw it, where he released Reguilon he was very, very deep. I obviously if you have to play him this week, but I would probably get rid next week personally. Ronaldo and Man United for me just look the team to jump on, as well as Watford, right? Which it's incredible to say that about Watford. Scenes of how they started the season, but they have looked really, really good. There's lots of value in that team. Mohammed says, I feel Son could be a long-term hold. I do agree with that. I do agree that Son could be a long-term hold. But I would also say that I think Ronaldo will outscore him over the next 5 or 6 weeks. If you look at the fixtures, I do think Ronaldo will have an odd bench in. I do agree. But I still think that he's a better bet than Son personally over his next few. But that's each to their own, right? It could be I hold on to Son, right? It could be I do. Could be I don't get Ronaldo. It could be I look at I watch West Ham and Watford, for example, this week and next week, and Spurs, and decide that actually no, I'm happy with my team and just do a very, very straightforward Tony to King or Tony to Dennis, right? So, but I enjoy having the flexibility within my team to be able to make decisions, and this is why I've kind of got this set up in terms of the team. There's only 18 minutes left until the deadline. Make sure if you haven't made your transfers, set your captain, save your teams, that you do it now. Just 18 minutes left. Josh says, looking at swapping Foden for either Gundo or Silva, which one would you get? Good luck this weekend. Love the chat as always. Thank you, Josh. Gundo or Silva's a tough one. I think I go for Gundo, but KDB is back as well, which may push Gundo back a little bit. It's such a tough one, these Man City ones. I would just say, and this is what I've done with Foden, right? So I chose Foden a few weeks ago. I'm just sticking with him. I'm just sticking with him. I would just say, whoever you choose, just stick with for the next 5 or 6 weeks, because hopping around will just cause you pain. So if I was to choose now out of Gundogan and Silva, I'm not sure actually on Gundogan's price. I go for Silva just for form and just for the comments, because Pepper said this week that he thinks that Silva's in the top 5 best players in the world at the moment. So if he's thinking that of him, he's probably going to play him every week. I don't know why I don't do Foden and Silva. I might do next week, maybe. We'll see. Ahmed says, should I start with Maddison, who Leicester got this week, away to Villa? Tough game this week against Villa, but he has been on really, really good form. It depends who ahead of Ahmed. If it's someone like Livramento, I think I'd prefer Livramento this week. Chance of a clean sheet, but also the chance potentially of an attacker returning against Brighton as well. Personally, I would do that. Though Maddison is really in form. Is Reece James worth a hit? Already have Alonso. C asks. Maybe not this week away to West Ham, but I'd probably say next week. I'd probably plan your team so you can get him in next week where they embark on a really nice run of fixtures. So they're home to Leeds next week. They got 5 really nice fixtures. This week away to West Ham. You wouldn't be surprised West Ham scored maybe, say that I've got Antonio on the bench and I'm playing Rudiger and James, but I've learnt my lesson in terms of benching these premium defenders, an absolute killer when they return. Emmanuel asks, Benteke or Duffy, if it's to play this week? It's not very exciting, Emmanuel. I would personally play Benteke, because United are still dross at the back, right? Well, while Maguire's in that team, they're always going to have issues, in my opinion. He's just not good enough. Carbonero, thoughts on Foden this week? Any news on him? So the embargoed coach of Foden, for those who've seen it, said he's fine, he's fit. Whether I pick him tomorrow or not, he'll be back soon. So make of that what you will. It's just endless drivel from Pep around Foden. Apparently the whole squad though were fit apart from Ferran Torres. They've all travelled to Watford. So I'm just leaving him in at the moment. See where it goes. I trust the rest of my team this week. I've also got Antonio first on the bench as well. So I just, like I say, with the thing with Foden, I don't mind him having 65, 70 minutes. I don't mind him having 30 minutes at the end either. or even not playing because of my bench. What I don't want him is having 5 minutes at the end. That's the killer, which I thought was going to happen last week actually, but he managed to stay on the bench. Aid Salah or Kane for captain. I mean, it's up to you, Aid Mac. I think the only thing I would point out is one of those players has got 23 attacking returns so far, or 22 in 14 games this season. The other has got 2. I mean, I know what I'm going for, right? In terms of just, at the moment, he's probably the best footballer in the world. It's fair to say. Stick it on him and just, and fight another day. Personally, Liverpool's next fixtures, you're probably going to look to captain him for the next God knows how long, because their fixtures just go on and on. They go on and on. Liverpool's, it's unbelievable. Home to Villa next week, then home to Newcastle, away to Spurs, home to Leeds. They then have away to Leicester, away to Chelsea, which it could be tough. And then home to Brentford, which Salah will miss. But for the next 5 or 6 game weeks, it's very hard just to go against Salah. You can go with Jota if you want, maybe. If Firmino is is confirmed out, but Salah is like different level. It's like it's almost like having, Salah's at the peak of his powers at the moment. So it's almost like having an average Messi playing in Spain almost. He's playing that well, Salah. His attacking returns, it's either 22 or 23 attacking returns in 14 matches. Just insane numbers. They are Messi and Ronaldo-esque stats. They are absolutely unbelievable. His finish last week for his first was unbelievable as well. Like, that was Messi-esque as well, right? In terms of confidence and everything else. Let's go with Salah. Let's go with Salah. JP asks, start White or Antonio. Yeah, a bit of a tough one. I would probably start Antonio, just because I think that White's ceiling is capped at 6 points, personally. Prabno and Bomo or White, probably the same. I don't really fancy White this week. I don't know, away to Everton. I think Everton looked okay attacking wise against Liverpool. I expect him to improve again. White, he's very rarely going to get any attacking returns. So I think, I'd probably try and Bomo against Leeds. He's got to come good soon, right? He's got to do something soon. Watch him score now the week I've taken him out. Alex Richards, sell Son to bring in Bernardo and Jota. I wouldn't do it this week, Alex, but I would potentially do it next week. So, home to Norwich, one of the fixtures we've been waiting for all season, maybe next week. Tunji, should I play Antonio or Veltman? Already have 4 at the back with Liver in the team. Dennis also on the bench. Brighton's got Southampton. Assuming you haven't got Sanchez in goals, I'd probably go Dennis in that case then, rather than 5 at the back, personally. He's just on form. He just looks absolutely unbelievable at the moment, so I would do that. Freshcoat, watch your channel all the time. Please can I get a shout out for Hannah Ruck? Absolutely. Good morning, Hannah, and the very, very best of luck for game week 15. Animal Lover, I think you've asked me this a couple of times now. I think I answered last time. Start one of Bowen, Gallagher, Dennis or Duffy. That's such a hard one. Goodness me, I think I would go for Dennis personally, but that's just like, 25% pick there. So tough. Billy G, bench boosting, going for manager of the month in mini leagues. No injuries. Very, very best of luck, Billy. I really, really hope it works out for you. 10 minutes, 40 seconds left till the deadline. If you haven't made your changes yet, if you haven't pressed save, make sure you do it now. Don't miss out. Shmarak won, -4 from Shalapa and Mbomo to Gundogan and Tavares. Just be careful of Tavares. I think he looks decent, but Tierney is knocking on the door. That's the only problem with Tavares. I haven't seen him in many teams. I do think he's a fantastic player. I'm just not sure that his place is 100% nailed, personally, Shmarak. So I personally go for someone else. And I also do think Everton will score against Arsenal this week, I think. Matthew, hi Fergie, would you play ASM or Tony, or would you transfer ASM to Watkins for free? Newcastle this week, home to Burnley. Villa got a tough one this week, haven't they? I think. Leicester. I probably played out this week, Matthew, in all honesty. And in terms of playing ASM or Tony, I'm playing Tony against Leeds. He scored 2 in his last 3. You know, he had a couple of shots on target, I think, against Spurs on Thursday as well. So I would play Tony and hold on to next week. Get you know, a little bit more information, and then maybe next week look at Watkins or potentially a Watford player as well. There, personally, Matthew. I think that's what I would do. Ian Day says Jesus. Yeah, I think Jesus could be a cracking pick up of these coming weeks. He could be the one to get for Man City. Actually, I do wonder whether Jesus is the player to pick up for Man City. I like that. I think that's the thing I've taken away from this stream this morning. I think I mentioned it earlier. I may have been on mute or not, but I did mention it. I think that Jesus is the player I think I like for Man City, because Mahrez is going away to AFCON at the end of the month as well. So that kind of nails that right-hand side for Jesus, but he also does play in the 9 role a lot as well. So yes, I think that Jesus could be the one for Man City. Frozen asks, could I please get a recap of your thought process behind benching Antonio and playing Livramento? Of course. So, you know, Antonio, well, he hasn't done anything for weeks and weeks and weeks, right? You know, he's playing Chelsea, who defensively have been one of the best teams in the league this season. All the Chelsea defence are fit. Reece James is back as well. So, you know, I do expect them to, you know, if Antonio scores, it will be a surprise, I suppose, you know, is what I'm saying. Whereas with Livramento against Brighton, you know, I think that Livramento has got a chance of a defensive return there in terms of, you know, obviously a clean sheet, but he's also a good attacker as well, right? So I think that's my chance to. And Cucurella for Brighton does get forward an awful lot. He could leave some space in behind. So that's I just think that Livramento, in its most basic terms, has got, you know, more chance of scoring decent points than Antonio this week. I think that's it really. John Bunnell, start 1, Gallagher or Adam Armstrong. I would probably, it's a tough one, John. I'd probably start Armstrong. It's not much in it. I'd probably go for Armstrong, John, just because obviously Gallagher's got United. And Ryan, start Gallagher or Smith Rowe. I think I go for Smith Rowe there, Ryan, personally. Alex, Captain Cancelo, City normally smash Watford. Go for Salah, Alex. You can't get me off Salah. He's just, like I say, he's got the best, just the best player in the world at the moment, on form. Patrick Flory, what's your team name? It's Fergi time. That is my team name. Hopefully it helped. Like, you know, can I just say all the advice I gave is obviously what I would do. It's very specific to your team. Please, you know, feel free. I hope everyone really does make their own decisions on these things. I'm just trying to give, you know, a bit of a breakdown of maybe, you know, maybe the decisions that I would make if it was my team, but it obviously doesn't mean it's right by any stretch. Era, would you bench ESR or Tony? I think out of the two, I would bench Smith Rowe. Era, I think Tony has looked okay the last few games, scored 2 in his last 3 and did have 2 shots on target, I think, against Spurs as well. So I would play Tony this week if you had him. And Ilian, Duffy or Dennis. I'd go for Dennis, I think. Ilian, he looks on form. A bigger upside than Duffy, you would guess as well. Jack asks, start Benteke or Livramento. Are all these questions so hard about Livramento and Gallagher? I would start Livramento over Gallagher, and I would start Livramento. I would start him over Benteke as well. I hope I haven't contradicted myself at all. And Radical says, Foden holds, expect him to play Fergie. I don't know if it returns. I obviously really hope he does, but as I mentioned before, I don't mind him getting 60 or 70 minutes. I don't mind him getting 30 minutes. I don't mind him not playing at all. All I don't want is a 5-minute cameo at the end. They're the killers. So I'm just going to hold him. But as I mentioned earlier, I think Jesus is a player I'm interested in, because I think I'm interested in him, potentially even ahead of Ronaldo, just because I think he'll play more games. Don't know, one to think on. Rick Starr. Rick Starr. Oh, Rick Starr. For those who missed it last week, this was one of the funny. Well, it wasn't funny. Poor Rick Starr last week. Captain Fraser, for whatever reason you want to captain Fraser. They did have a good fixture, Newcastle. But obviously, when Clark got sent off, they took Fraser off to bring on an extra defender. And Rick Starr, I was thinking of you, Rick. Absolutely unbelievable. Such hard luck. I think I would go for Salah this week, Rick Starr. It's completely up to you. FPL Sponge, when you were muted, sorry if you asked, but Jimenez to King or Rowell as equally bad fixtures this week. Yeah, it's a good point. It depends if you're starting him or not. If you're starting him, I'd probably go for King if you're going to start him personally, just because of the form element. I would get in King early, because if you're banking on getting him in anyway, then you're probably going to rise, I would guess, in price this week. Jimenez may drop in price. So yeah, I would do that. And Dallas, when you get an Adam on a deadline strike, keep asking him to come on. I'd love him to come on. He's just incredibly busy in work. He may even have to miss Green Arrow next week. He's that busy in work. 3 minutes 40 left till the deadline. Everyone, please save your teams. Do your transfers. Don't do anything rash though. Don't do anything rash with only 3 minutes left. And I'm going to wrap up in a second. Buckers, yeah, I remember. Such hard luck. And John Tyner, any idea when Spurs v Burnley will be played? The final question I'll answer. The earliest it can be played is the first week in January, but that is if Spurs lose to West Ham in the Carabao Cup. But I would imagine it would be played much later, maybe April or something like that. Kazim, I've got to answer Kazim's one. Your thoughts on Aubrey, Wilson to Ronaldo and King from -4? Wait till next week. Aubrey, Wilson to Ronaldo and King. I'd wait till next week, Kazim, because both of those players, Aubrey and Wilson, do have decent fixtures this week. So I would wait till next week. I think you could regret that move, but I would do it next week. Absolutely, because the fixtures do change massively there. Okay. That is it from me for this week. I hope you've enjoyed. Thank you so much. And apologies again for everyone who joined at the start. I really do apologise. I was on mute for 6 minutes. Well, I was not mute. My wire came out the back of my mic. I do apologise for everyone. But I'm glad, hopefully gave everyone a bit of a laugh. And hopefully, my advice has potentially helped one or two of you at least in terms of making decisions this week. If you did enjoy the stream, please press the like button. It really, really does help us, honestly. And drop me a follow on Twitter at FFH_Fergi2. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. Our handles on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok are at FFH_HQ, and our website is fantasyfootballhub.co.uk, where you will find everything you need for fantasy football all under one roof, including player comparison tools, the fixture ticker, Opta stats, top player team reveals, points predictions tools, and much, much more. To join the tens of thousands of other fantasy managers and sign up to the hub, use all our amazing resources, just click the top link in the description below. You will not regret it. Thank you so much for all the comments. Sponge, Freshcoat, Ross, Kazim, Niall, Leon, and everyone else, League, saying thank you so much. Really, really appreciate you joining me on this Saturday morning here in the UK. I'll be back just before the Game Week 16 deadline. Have an amazing Game Week 15. Enjoy your weekend, whatever happens, and may all your arrows be green. Goodbye for now.